When pioneering any disruptive technology for radical adoption, it needs to offer far more than a 20 to 30% improvement on the status quo. As a business owner, having options come my way, I generally push them aside as distracting if the returns will be marginable, because it's so easy to continue doing things the way I always have. What I offer landscape professionals, including myself, this being an attempt to solve most of my own most aggravating problems over the last 27 years, is an opportunity to improve the efficiency and return on time by literally hundreds of percent, and the goal of a 10x improvement in efficiencies in multiple areas. In solving the problems that I've dealt with repeatedly in 27 years, I'm not just touching on my issues. There are more than 30,000 landscape business owners in the United States alone, hundreds of thousands around the planet, and all of them can benefit from these technologies. For investors in 10x Landscape, I offer the opportunity for both growth and 100% return on capital invested yearly once 10,000 businesses have signed up, generating the $36 million needed to grow, be self-sufficient, and return a dividend, or invest in more profitable offshoots, which I'll touch on at the end of the presentation. So let's deal with the problems that I've dealt with as a business owner. Number one, corruption in crew hours. When I'm not on the site and crew are going directly to the job site and reporting their own hours, I've repeatedly dealt with situations where the crew will collude to fake the hours. And unless I want to babysit, it's difficult to deal with that issue. Since hiring my wife to act as foreman, for example, this year, that cost expense of theft through long breaks, etc., has increased company profits by 20%, thus paying her entire salary. So it's a big issue. Secondly, as a business owner, particularly being in business for more than 27 years, the last thing I want to be dealing with is 20 minutes of phone calls or problems. If a client emails me at 10 p.m. and says, please tell the crew to park in this area, not here, or don't get dust on my Mercedes. Now, if I don't get that through to all the right people, the quality of my business goes down in the customer's eyes. But it is a hassle to pick up the phone or forward emails to multiple people and typing all of that out. Thirdly, as a business owner that has cracked a number of the industry's biggest problems, when I interviewed dozens of clients starting out in business, they all had the same complaints. Contracted work gets done late. There are cost overruns with unexpected surprises, poor communication, and I can't exactly visualize, and if something goes wrong, the contractor is slow to fix it. Now, I solved all of those problems by doing one job, full attention until complete, flat cost bids, and giving myself enough time that 90% of my jobs get done early. However, when I go to bid, the prospective client is not aware of the extreme gap between my statistics as someone who has beat the industry odds and competitors that may or may not offer a slightly better price, but have not done most of their jobs, 1, 2, 3 weeks ahead of schedule, have not given full attention, have not returned all of their phone calls daily. And so one of the problems in the current marketplace is that really excellent companies in specific areas are not given the accolades that they deserve, which creates a disincentive to excel in areas that will only be noticed after the job is complete. Other problems are hiring a new crew member and finding that they're coming in at a time when I don't have the time to tell them all the different ways that we do things. Another issue can be things coming up where I want to delegate a job and I don't have the time to go into exactly how I want that job to be done and why. So there's these crunches of education, because even after 27 years, 20% of the work that I do is one of a kind. We haven't had to powder coat gates with sea air coming in and protect them from salt before. We haven't had to split a 10-foot boulder in half with slow release dynamite before. It just hasn't come up. And so there's areas where, to educate the crew in these areas to be able to delegate, it's not efficient to have to repeat these things over and over verbally and then have them be forgotten. So there's a huge, and this is probably one of the biggest crises, there is a huge crisis in the efficiency of educating new crew members. Another thing is, the fact that the crew likes, feels best when they all get paid the same, but one member of the crew may literally be twice as valuable as, the other members of the crew. And it's hard to explain that, in terms of that the other crew members will understand. And so having a benchmarked reward system where anyone who studies all the different things, anyone who has these skill sets, who knows how to do irrigation, electrical, and stonemasonry, you get a higher pay grade because you're more versatile. That there is a clear framework so that everyone can know what they have to do to get raises, because I'm not a believer of raises over time. I'm a believer of raises based on value. You improve your value to the company tomorrow by 30%, get a 30% raise, and thank you. So here's another problem. Having the client talk to me in a way that is clear so that I don't have to get in the car and drive over to a client's house so that I know what they're talking about is a problem for my clients that don't want to make a video, upload it onto YouTube, then send me the video, or the video won't send by email, or we have incompatible phone technology. So we have a problem with client communication. There are a number of other things, including payroll. We talked briefly about the fudging hours type dynamic. But there's also one of the least enjoyable parts of my job is payroll. And I've gone through an evolution of working for myself, then getting employees, then hiring a full-time office manager at tens of thousands of dollars a year to manage all the receipts and do all the payroll, then working with temp agencies, and then just giving the crew rough checks and hiring a professional at the end of the year to complete all the different payrolls. I've gone through a lot, but what I want as a business owner is a weekly report that shows up on my phone. This person worked this amount of hours doing this person did this person did this, and here's their payroll. Press and disperse the money to them. That's really what I want. I don't want a bookkeeper. So these are some of the problems that I want to solve as a landscape professional. And so let's look at how 10x Landscape as an app template solves each of these and more to provide value for the landscape professional, to the homeowner, to the employee, and the landscape suppliers. So number one, as a client, the first question that I want to ask is, do I need a professional? Could I do this myself? That is a question. And the first thing that I want are top-rated landscape tutorials for every aspect of the landscape arena, whether it's putting out landscape lighting, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this creates an opportunity for top professionals to create tutorials that homeowners can buy on the 10x Landscape app. And they can get, each tutorial can get reviewed. There can be multiple tutorials, et cetera, with the best at the top. The next big problem I have as a homeowner is I'm considering this stone wall. This is the stone I want. Here's the area. This is where it's located on my property. And I now want 3 bids. And I want to know what the time frame for each person is. I want to know what their reputation is. And I want to know what the cost is. But I'm a busy executive. And I don't want to stay home 3 days. I don't want the landscapers all meeting at the same time and kind of feeling uncomfortable. What I want is to get out my camera and take a snapshot, describe the project. And I want landscapers that will come to me and say, these are my specs in terms of my references, my insurance, because as a homeowner, I'm also like, do you have up-to-date insurance? Do you, what's your pricing structure? How big is your crew? When can you get it done? I want to know all of that and have it come to me as a client. And so by capturing the job description and putting it out to bid on the app, first of all, we populate the app with landscapers because there are bids available on the app, and that's incredibly valuable. But what I'm doing for a homeowner is I'm saving all that time, and then I can meet with 1 or 2 of the people that can get it done when I want, or I can cancel the project if all the bids are twice as much as I want, and I haven't wasted time. Time is precious. Now, I also want, as a homeowner, to know where did the plumber, the electric, where did all the utilities get buried? Where's all the irrigation going? What happened? You say you hit the sewer line with the excavator. Where did you hit it? What does the repair look like? I want to know what's going on underground in my own house so that I can tell the next contractor or home buyer, etc., or so that I know where not to hit these utilities. And so I need an easy way for my contractor to take photos of video of everything underground, and I want it permanently stored in an area of my house app called Utilities. I also want maintenance guidelines. I don't want to have to, if the maintenance company sends out a maintenance guy that I haven't met before, I don't want to wonder if he knows, don't turn this one valve on because it has a leak. I explained it to Louis last week, but here's Bill. I've never met him before. I want accountability, that there's a record of these communications. I also want to be able to say in video, cut my hedge like this, don't box it. I want to, dig down in 6 inches here, then this. I want to make tutorials as a homeowner for how I want my landscape maintained. Never prune this tree. I'm hiring an arborist for this. I want these details laid out, and I want to say them one time, and I want a maintenance company that agrees to be accountable for these videos. Now, I also want to be able to make quick maintenance requests. While you're here this time, clear up all these leaves, and I'll pay you, $100 extra, or whatever it is. I want to be able to do that, get it through, get an acknowledgement without having to pick up the phone, without having to meet someone. I want a graphical interface. If I want to travel as a client, I want the ability to get updated job reports on my landscape as it's being built by any of the crew, etc. And I want to be able to get an alert that there's a landscape alert, either of a report or a question. I also, once 300 plants, 300 different varieties of plants have all been gone in, I want to know what they're called. And I don't want little tags stuck in my plants. I want a list of Latin names, common names, and images so that I know what to order again if that plant dies, or if I want to order 20 more to tie in with this area here. I want to know what all of my plants are. I want easy communication with the owner and the crew. If I want to tell all the crew, don't park your car here today, I want to be able to just point my phone, don't park here today, click send, and have all the crew get that message and I can request a reply, yes, we got that, or just broadcast the message. I want to be able to easily show the landscaper what died or what problem I'm having with warranty and just say, look, this isn't working right, we're still within the 12 months, I want this fixed. I want to be able to pay the landscape contractor through the app and thus have a receipt and record of prompt payments. And I want statistics about contractors when I'm choosing a contractor for a job. So as well as a little reminder for my 1-year warranty at the end of the work, I want to be able to have my phone alert me, you're a month away from your 1-year warranty. Do you want to walk around and ask any questions or tell the contractor to fix this, that, or the other. And then I will update them. And I also want the accountability, because through the app I'll be ranking each of the contractors that work with me. I want a framework where they're not going to just blow me off for 3 months because I've already paid them and they're not going to use me as a reference anyway. I want the app to kind of track, this is how long this contractor takes to respond to a warranty request. Here's how they did it. And I want this kind of data to be in visual form as opposed to in the abstract. Here's what actually happened. Because generally when something is measured and observed, it improves. So that's what I want as a client. And I can get all of that for free except for the paid courses. Now I also want to be able to buy certain materials like a lighting kit or know what's available to pick from local suppliers. I don't want to have to drive to the stone quarry. I want good images and video and little descriptions of what every local supplier sells so that I can tell my landscaper, I want this mulch, I want this soil product, I want this stone and this boulder, I want this facade here, I want this type of chip, I want this type of lumber for here. That's what I want. And I want to know that that's what's being factored in the bids that I'm putting together. And to do that, I need to know what's available. So I want that available to me as a client. Now, as a business owner, what I want is easier bidding. So when I get that video, I don't have to, like I got a call recently from a client and they said, I'm not available this week, but could you meet me next Monday afternoon? I didn't know if it would be convenient or not. So I looked on Google Images in her house and I saw what she was describing. And right off of Google Images, I gave her a bid on the phone simply to avoid having to go out there. But it's much easier if the client will actually describe and show the material and we're all talking about the same thing, and I can just submit my bid. So I want good bidding. I also want feedback on who's a good client to work with and who is a pain in the neck. Because Yelp currently does a decent job at saying, pointing out the problems of the business, but it does not point out the problems with the client. And it's usually about 10%, 7%, something like that, really difficult clients to deal with. And some of them will pretend to be very easy right until you get in and give them a decent price, and then suddenly they make everything twice as difficult. I want to know, does the client pay well? Do they make unreasonable requests? So having a mutual review where the contractor can review some of the issues of the client and have these be app verified. The app records how quickly the client paid, what were the requests, etc. And these can share a profile of the client and a profile of the contractor. Now, I also want my crew hours to be geo-fenced to the job. I do one job full attention until complete. So I want to basically give in the address of the job, the address of my suppliers that can be loaded into the app, and that my crew's hours start when they're within 100 feet of the job or the first warehouse that we're getting materials from. And I want my crew hours to then be tracked by the app to create a profile. And if my crew wants to go invisible at any point in the day, that's fine. They can just click stop time. The GPS will stop tracking them in their phone, and they can go and do personal errands and then come back and click start again. But I really want that automatic to spit out, this crew member worked 27 hours this week, this crew member worked 48 hours this week, and it's all correlated to time spent on the job. I also want a daily report from each employee. This is what I did. I did this, and this with video, and here's the number of hours that it took. So I have a sense of who's getting what done within what time frame. If I have a special request, the client emails me or sends me a video, I want to be able to broadcast this to the entire crew instantly. Make one voice request and click send to entire crew, and everyone gets it. And I want to be able to set a protocol that they have to click yes, I've understood that, or no, I have questions, etc., so that there's some accountability there. I want to be able to have my contract with the client be in a digital interface, and I want the contract to be split where all of the costs are known to me and the client, and all of the details of the contract are visible to every employee, so that no employee has to say, oh, I didn't know that. And if I change the contract or update it to do an addition, that the crew instantly gets an alert and knows what the addition is in writing, just like the client and I discussed it. So I want every employee to have an up-to-date version of the contract in real time without pricing, and I want the client and I to have an updated version with pricing. And I want the client's questionnaire. The way that I do so much good work in avoiding change orders, keeping costs fixed, avoiding surprises, getting work done early, is I ask lots of detailed questions up front in the design process, and then I develop a design consistent with those values and answers to questions. I want the questionnaire and the client's answers to be visible to me, the client, and the crew, rather than just on a piece of paper, as it currently is, where I'm the only one that knows all the answers to the client's questionnaire and meeting. I may want the crew to listen to the conversation I had with the client and the design process simply by pressing record on the audio on my phone as the client and I are talking through different ideas, if the client is particular and it's a big job. I want to do really good tutorial videos, and I want to track which of my crew members take the time to learn them, and I want them to take tests at the end of the video. What would you do if a deer severed this type of irrigation line with their hoof? What's the protocol if this client says, I've got an irrigation leak? And I want to be able to write these tests, and I want to be able to put together a comprehensive training set of videos one time for my entire now and future crew. And I want job applicants that want to work for me to go through a protocol where I might say, if you want to apply for this job, I want you to click which skills you know. I want you to take the tests to see what your answers are for this. I want you to spend an hour watching the main tutorials here. And I want to see your data based on where you're coming from. If you're coming from another landscaper using the 10X Landscape app, I want to know what type of statistics come with you. Do you show up on time at 8 a.m. or are you 50% of the time your app says you show up late? I want to know as much as possible with the employee, and I want to be able to set a hurdle where anyone can be hired if they jump through the hoops competently to be hired. It's not me making the decision, really, it's them. Do they have the ability, the willingness, the intelligence to go through those filters, so that if someone does, it's like, next time we have a job, we're hiring you. I want that. I want to be able to advertise unique services. For example, I wrote a local book, Successfully Landscaping Your Marin Home. It's just for my county. I want to be able to advertise that book to anyone doing work in Marin County, since the book would be instantly relevant. I want data about my own company. We're spending $3,000 on nails. Maybe that's, and 80% of that is this one nail. Okay, we should probably buy those in bulk and get a 30% discount, that kind of thing. I want all of my receipts tracked by the app, meaning employees give me these crumpled receipts at the end of the week. You know, where's this receipt? Oh, I left it in the car. I want them to take a photo of every receipt right at the point of sale and click, is it a tool or a material? And have that bookkeeping automatically tracked for a yearly report, total materials, total tools, etc., so that a bookkeeper then doesn't have to go through that, those receipts, etc. I want to be able to travel and do easy. I want it so easy that my clients prefer to do a video with me than they want to have me come and meet them at a set time at the site. I want it that easy and that clear, and the same with my crew. Because I'm already at the point traveling 6 months of the year, which is just fun, where 80% of that can happen. But that last 20%, in the absence of this app, I can't travel 12 months of the year if I want to, and do so profitably and have all the data that I want. So what do I want as an employee? Well, as an employee, I want to know what's expected of me. I want to know how I could get a raise next week. I want to know that if I study and learn something, I'll be valued for that. If something comes up and the boss isn't there, I want to be able to look through the menu of the protocol. Like, I type in irrigation, then I would type in drip, then I would type in a subcategory, maybe drip leaks or emitters. And I would see this is the type of emitter we buy at this company. These are the places we buy it. This is how they fit together. This is how you repair a leak. This is the protocol if a line is cut. I know what to do. And I can say, I followed this, and this, and here's the completed work. I want to grow my education skills and, of course, my value. I want to figure out how to get bonuses. I want to be paid instantly. And if my boss is treating me badly, I don't want him to give me a bad rap because he doesn't want me to move to another company. I'm a good employee, but he may not give me a good reference because he wants to keep me. I want to have objective stats in the app to say, look, the app shows I was on time 98% of the time last year. I studied 20 hours of education. I have these skills, and I sent my daily report, reliably. These clients gave me a compliment, because a client can give a specific compliment or thumbs up to specific employees for, extra work. I'm a great employee. And I have a shitty boss. Well, I'd like to hire that employee, and I'd like to know that. And the employee wants the stats to be able to show that, so that they're not just stuck endlessly in being punished for over achieving. There's one other thing that I want as a business owner and a supplier, and that is, several times a year it happens where, for whatever reason, my supplier is just out of 600 square feet of that particular slate or that particular bluestone. Now, they've had plenty of it for years. They're just out right when I need it. And so I drive up, ready to pick it up. They normally have tons of it in supply. Oh, we're out of that. Well, this grinds the job to a halt. Problem. I also want to be able to have my employees go pick something up and not be on the phone describing it to them. No, it's 2 feet by 2 feet, and I think it's 3/8, maybe it's ½ inch. I don't remember the measurement, but I know it if I saw it. And it's, and it's called Bluestone. And talk to George. George isn't here. Who should we talk to? Get on the phone, get on the video, that material right there. I want to bypass that. And so what I want to be able to do is invite all the local suppliers onto 10X Landscape, have them profile all their materials one time on the app for all the landscapers and all the homeowners with pricing and detail. And that way, when I bid the job, as soon as I bid the job and it's accepted, the supplier gets an alert that I will be buying 300 square feet of 2 by 2 smooth bluestone from them. And I know what it is because I've looked at the picture, and the client knows what it is because they've looked at the picture, and I click that product on the bid. And I get up-to-date pricing information. I don't have to say, oh, it went up 20%. Well, I bid it based on the old price because you didn't answer your phone. I want that up-to-date price information. And I want my supplier to have that on hand when I go to pick it up 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later. And the supplier, of course, wants to know what these orders are going to come in, because they have no idea in many cases that, in 1 month they're going to need to have 1,200 square feet of this one product in, and you're not going to buy any of the others for a while because you're on this particular job. So that's what you want as the supplier, the client, and the landscaper. And so these are how to solve all of these problems and deliver a 1,000% more efficient process. But here's, in my view, the single most important thing of all of it. And this is something that I have never seen done on a single app or website. Google comes close to it, and they are incredibly unresponsive. At the bottom right lower screen on our app, there's an F for feedback. You tap that, screen opens up. Title, what's the problem? What's your solution? What's your reasoning for picking that solution? You want to record that in audio, photo, video, and 1 to 10, how big of a problem is this? And 2, if it's a suggestion or an idea, how much are you willing to pay monthly to have this added as a feature or changed as a design? Would you put money? Can we count on you if we make this change, or even to fund this change? You know, I'll put $1,000 towards the redesign of the app, towards getting this feature to work like this. So that captures the intensity of the issue, the intensity of the passion, exactly what's the issue, what people want that we're not offering. And this is on every single page. You do not have to do these, absolutely barbarically stupid process of you're signed into your Bank of America account, you find out how to give feedback, you're already in, and they ask you who you are. Ridiculous. You just press feedback, it knows the page. It takes a snapshot, you write what the problem is, you record it with photos if you want, like this, I like it like this, you have a complete data file. Now, once you click submit, this does not go to some bureaucrat somewhere. This goes to all the other homeowners and landscapers using the app and the developers of the app, the people responsible for maintaining it and making it better. Everyone else who sees the problem gives a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the suggestion, and a 1 to 10 scale how much they value not having it changed or changed, and how much money they would put up to see it happen or not happen. And the app tracks the algorithm of these changes. There's always one at the top, and that is the priority of the app. Now, the prioritization is, first of all, if it's funded, meaning if the app developers say this is going to take $10,000 to add or make this feature. If it's a mistake, we work on it instantly at our expense. But if it's a new feature or a redesign of some kind, we want a colored skin or whatever it is, user interface, then you say, okay, the cost of this is $20,000. Clients so far have already put up $10,000, and there will be more clients over time. So we'll definitely have this be a funded thing. And so we can either wait till it's totally funded or work on it knowing it will be profitable, and we can have it be an add-on. You could have this added feature that these people have paid for, and you can dilute the pool and they'll get a refund back so that that this feature is added. But the key thing is that everyone is invited democratically to improve the app constantly in all ways, and that the number 1, 2, and 3 issues or opportunities are constantly being worked on with no bureaucratic interference by anyone. Because this is for the client. It's for the homeowners, it's for the employees, it's for the suppliers, it's for the landscapers, and it automatically gets done if it's funded. And sometimes it gets done if we have the capital and it's not funded. And sometimes we can propose, like we would need, we can give back. As soon as we have 30 landscapers willing to put up $500, we will start work on this, and it'll be done by the end of the year as a feature. But in this way, we learn from the clients. So this is how 10X Landscape becomes 10 times better than anything I've ever seen, and becomes all that I want as a high-quality landscape professional, and all that I want as a homeowner wishing to hire a good company. But it doesn't stop there. Why? Because in looking at the modules, payroll, advertising, client feedback, video sharing, group sharing, suppliers, employees, all of these modules apply to plumbers. So we're first looking at, flushing out and refining 10X Landscape, which, if it takes $10 million to fund the app in its entirety, and then has tutorials for how landscapers can make a referral fee to referring it to other landscapers out of state, or other YouTubers and different people in social media who can get a referral fee. This is an incredibly efficient business. It does not need a big staff if the tutorials and the referrals are set up to market it. Clients will ask their landscapers to join it when they see the benefit. Landscapers will ask their clients to enjoy it or to sign up. Landscapers will ask their employees to sign up in order to get paid. Suppliers will sign up for the benefits of this, and the supply part is the least relevant part. But this is now a highly profitable business on its own, and let's say we've invested $10 million in the software. It takes less than $100,000 to adapt the language to 10X Plumbing, to 10X Electrical, to 10X Building, to 10X Dating, to 10X Health. We've now got an infrastructure in place and that feedback loop that allows rapid iteration, where then this can be scaled into one division after another of the larger umbrella, which is 10X Living. The goal of having and living a 10 times more valuable life than one would live in ignorance, without these efficiencies and scales, without the participation of data. Because the single most valuable project, entity, pattern of engaging that the world has ever known in terms of the efficiency of human well-being is 10X data. Now, what do I mean by that? Because part of the grease and the smoothness of what makes this a franchise as it moves from one area to another is one profile, one credit card, one house location, one utility set. And as your electrician does utility photos, if we buried the main electrical wire here, or we added a 120-foot line here, that goes into all your utilities. You can just punch in, you see photos and a map of wherever utility is on your house. When you have one profile, you can now embark on personal exploration and personal growth. So what does 10X Marriage look like? Well, if you fill out a questionnaire that your love language, to borrow from the 5 love languages, is number 1, quality time, number 2, acts of service, and your partner fills out the questionnaire to know that it's number 1, gifts, romantic gifts, and number 2, touch, as the first and secondary love languages, you get a little quiz, takes 10 minutes to fill out. Your wife gets, or your girlfriend gets, an alert. Hey, your boyfriend filled out the quiz. Do you want to see what his answer was? Fill out the quiz yourself. As soon as she does, exchanges information. Now you know what both of your love languages are. You get a little alert next week. You set the alert time. How much do you want to grow your relationship? It asks you, what does a peak experience look like for you? What are the tastes? What are the sounds? What's the temperature? What's the location? What's the duration? What does a peak experience look like to you? And you fill it out and you answer questions, etc. And you now develop several profiles, recipes for peak experience. Your girlfriend gets a little alert. Do you want to know what a peak experience is for your new boyfriend or your husband or your long-term partner? All you have to do is fill out what is a peak experience for you. What are the sounds? Now it overlaps. You get a picture of, oh, we both like this. I didn't know that. Maybe we could design a date, and it prompts you to come back and forth, but you didn't have to enter your name again. You didn't have to enter your credit card again. You're just growing your marriage. Now you're 44 years old. You've just lost your job. The app knows that because you use this as a data port where you control the data. Now, in order to make this the single most valuable enterprise that human beings have ever seen or ever known, it has to be unquestionably valuable for every single individual with high upside and low downside. What does that mean? It means that the individual controls 100% of their data and who sees what. So we're looking at rings here. Core ring, your spouse. Second ring, your children and family. Third ring, your close friends. Fourth ring, your business colleagues. Fifth ring, your acquaintances. And then the general public. And so you decide these things I want my partner to know, these things I want my family to know. And automatically, as you accept invitations for family, for partner, for colleague at work, for general public, you broadcast this information. But what you give the app is deeply encrypted metadata about where you go, what you do, what your routine is, how happy you are 1 to 10 when you're doing this, when you're doing that, how much money you have to invest here. You give the app metadata. And the app says, do you know what? Depression is a big issue for 65% of white 55-year-old people living in your area. You have a higher than 50% chance of being depressed. Would you like tips on responding to depression? All you have to say is yes. Now this puts you into a probability field where other people in your age group, based on the metadata, have taken quizzes, have tried hot Epsom salt baths, yoga, meditation, the Wim Hof method, you name it, whatever the issues, they've given it a try, and 60% of the people who tried it got good results from the Wim Hof method. That's cold therapy, by the way. 2 minutes of cold showers after hot showers, ice baths, running in the snow, that type of thing. I had no idea. Most of the people depressed benefit from that. 80% of people who read this book really liked it and thought it was beneficial. So you start getting the highest of the high based on the metadata extracted by the app, and you get these suggestions, and you give some of them a try. I did this, and then you give the app feedback. Made no difference, useless. 10% benefit, but I don't highly recommend it. Or this was amazing, and that provides value for other people. Once you have the entire population, one, in control of their data, two, having the most extensive profile on the planet. Now this ties in with a really important realization that I have, which are there are incredibly relevant pieces of data about me that not a single person on the planet has. Now, how can I attune and connect with those data points if no one knows that they exist as data points, let alone what I'm trying to do with those data points? It's impossible. But through metadata, the app can connect me and, for example, send me a link like, here are 3 people who are open to connecting with you who all have this as their most burning question, which you've listed in your profile section of most burning questions. Do you want to connect? Yes, I do. That is a burning question. And you can now interact through a mapped out protocol with someone you didn't know you had a connection with, because they didn't know this was a burning question for you and you didn't know that was a burning question for them, and you connect on that basis. And the entire focus of the app is to provide as much value and service to each individual using the metric of intelligence. Intelligence is measured by the efficiency with which time, money, and natural resources are transformed into human well-being sustainably. The efficiency with which energy is transformed into sustainable human well-being is the ultimate measure of human intelligence. This app has the capacity to be more intelligent through metadata than any single human being on the planet by connecting more people through voluntary metadata that is deeply encrypted so that it can be very personal. What you put into your app, you can have, of course, the tightest region in the app is your own diary, your own habits, your own thoughts, etc., that you don't want to share with anyone, but it's still metadata, such that your app can say you've done this, and this. All of those correlate with higher degrees of suicide. This is the way out of that particular path. Oh, I didn't realize. I'm smoking more, I'm drinking more, I'm more depressed, I'm sleeping longer hours, I'm lost a partner recently, I'm not engaging. I see, I'm heading in that direction as a whole. There can be a container for statistical feedback of what's going on. Money's going up in expenses, it's going down in income. You can see these things occurring in the app. And 10x Living can be a container for that entire journey. As 10x Landscape becomes 10x Plumbing, becomes 10x Therapy, becomes 10x Travel, becomes 10x Investing, becomes 10x Education, becomes 10x Yoga, whatever it is. The app gathers metadata that you have control of as the individual. As it morphs into the goal of 10x Living, 10 times more well-being per unit of energy invested than average. With metrics, 10x Sustainability. I want to be carbon neutral as an individual. How many trees do I have to plant? 10x Nonprofit. I want to cure 10 blind people as cheaply as possible anywhere on the planet. I see this doctor's offering cures of, what's that, hardening of the eye. This doctor's offering restored eyesight for $3.59 per person. More value than any other place in the world. I'm going to fund that. And now I've helped 10 people have eyes again. This company plants more trees per dollar than any other company in the world. I need to plant 600 trees to be a carbon neutral individual with a jet-setting life. I'm going to donate $600. I'm now a carbon neutral human being, and you can have gamification in these processes. The key is to start with 10x Landscape because it is so valuable, and also it's the area that I've been doing it for 27 years. Once that app framework is built and millions of dollars of free cash flow are being generated yearly, then going out into some of the other arenas, 10X Plumbing, and areas like that, where you pick 3 of the best people in that field to spearhead all of the various plumbing issues and develop tutorials that teach bad plumbers to be good plumbers, that teach clients that they can buy the courses to be good plumbers, that coordinate with clients, etc. Now we've got an incredibly profitable set of companies and projects that all have the same profile, creating an incredibly valuable parent company that can underwrite the most valuable and lucrative undertaking this planet has ever known, which is a more nuanced and detailed set of data voluntarily given by every human being on the planet in exchange for complete control of that data and deeply encrypted metadata for privacy, out of which an individual that experiences incredible value, medical breakthroughs, getting an alert that their son is drifting close to suicide and avoiding it, priceless opportunities that cannot be provided any other way. Then each member has a choice to accept a certain amount of advertising and get free, to decide who the advertisers are, to get paid to be advertised to subscribe for this part, or this part. But it is the underlying metadata of deeply encrypted personal statistics by country, by individual, by county, around the world, translated into different languages, that makes this the single most important and valuable contribution to human well-being that the planet has ever known. And it is at that point where individuals can connect with groups of individuals to give away items, to make nonprofit donations, to improve their health, to get tips on business, to collaborate on projects, to volunteer meaningfully, to have rich and powerful romantic relationships, to profoundly benefit personal education and personal growth in a self-evolving set of protocols, where again the single most important features are suggested by the clients, are upvoted to the top, and the app gets better and better indefinitely, with no politics and no blind spots in the executive committee to block the endless evolution of human intelligence.